So, promise guys, this is the last video on the custom group summon, and as you guys know, this banner will be running for, I guess, another 3 weeks, and I did warn you guys in the past few videos that this is probably a bait banner. We do have most likely a new collab or a rerun coming for a collaboration, and also probably some new limiteds and some reruns as well for good banners. Every time this banner runs, there's always a good banner around the corner, which is why I kind of recommend not pulling on this. But if you're a new player or have a lot of resources and you're looking to get some good PvE units, we're going to be talking about the best PvE units you can actually pull for on this banner, because I think this banner is mostly going to be a catch-up banner for new players to get into PvE. Now, the best unit from this banner that you can get from PvE is going to be Tamarinne. Now, Tamarinne is available from the story summon, so you can wait out on pulling for her, but if for some reason you want to pull her right now and you don't have story summons available, she's going to be the best option. She has an amazing S3 that has a full cleanse, gives her an idle form which gives her extra skills. She also has a combat readiness push to make your team cycle more, with an AoE attack buff and a heal, and her S1 is amazing with an AoE dispel that also will dual attack from an ally with the highest attack every time you use it. The only downside is she is only used for PvE, you'll never use her in PvP. She's pretty much F tier there, but she's an extremely powerful unit for PvE and is a must-have unit on your account. But like I mentioned, you can get her from the story summon later on by completing her side story, so there's not really a huge rush to get her, but she still is a very good unit to have in your arsenal for sure. So the faster you can get her, the faster your account will progress, so she is definitely one of the top options from this banner to go for. Another great unit to pull for on this banner, he is pretty new actually, I think he released in 2023, late 2023, and this is Brieg. Now this unit is insane for PvE, and I don't think people actually still realize, especially newer players, how good he can actually be. His design is amazing, his artwork is crazy, but the reason why he's such a good knight or a frontline unit is because he pretty much can land defense break on the boss or whatever you're attacking 100% of the time. He is used in every expedition team besides Earth Expedition because of his element, but he's used there. He's also very good in Wyvern. He will make your Wyvern runs super stable, right? He has 2 debuffs built in his kit as a tank, and he's just really good. And the reason is because his S3 lands this 2-turn defense break and speed down. Speed down is one of the best buffs for Expedition because you are limited in how many turns the boss takes. So by decreasing their speed, you'll actually have more turns to cycle. Also, he has built-in effectiveness on this attack, 50% actually. So for Expedition, you'd only need 80 or 30% effectiveness total on his kit to actually have 100% chance to land your defense break. And in Wyvern, you only need 15% from his stats, which is insane. And also his damage is really good because it scales with his max health. He also has his S2, which gives everyone a barrier. Very nice to make your team more tankier, and this will also give him 50 fighting spirit and actually give him an extra turn. And you're going to notice with his S1 here, it'll give him 25 fighting spirit, and when you actually are at 100 fighting spirit at the end of your turn after you S1, you'll actually activate your S3 again. So you pretty much will keep up this defense break permanently with the speed down, because your S2 gives you 50 fighting spirit. Honestly, if this was 25, it'd be way more balanced, but because it's 50, it's pretty broken for PvE. And you just S2, S1 right after, and the next turn you S1 right after, and then you're S3ing the boss after your S1 activates, and then your S3 comes off cooldown, and you just keep cycling that defense break and decrease speed, which makes him one of the best knights in the game for sure for PvE as a defense breaker, while having a lot of support capabilities and being very easy to build, because he actually has built-in crit chance, built-in crit damage, built-in effectiveness, so it's really easy to build him on a decent damage build, while making him super bulky. Definitely a top tier pick for PvE. Another great unit to choose here is Roana, also available from the story summon, but she's so good that you definitely want to get her as soon as you can. She's amazing in PvE and PvP actually, and that is because of her S2 passive. Basically, every time your team gets hit by an extra attack, counter attack, or dual attack, you'll see her push everyone, which is insane. Also, you heal a significant amount. She also has a lot of safety in PvE with auto teams because she can actually give AoE heals, AoE barriers, and AoE revives, which is very nice. And yeah, you just basically take her into anywhere, any area of content, PvE or PvP, where there's extra attacks, counter attacks, or dual attacks, and she becomes instantly one of the best characters in the game. And in PvE content, especially later on, you're going to see that there are a ton of counter attacks and dual attacks, right? Ancient Inheritance, Automaton Tower, Abyss, Raid, she's very good everywhere, and in adventure mode, if you're trying to rush to get Savior Aiden by beating the entire story, she's going to be one of the best units because a lot of bosses will trigger her passive. Definitely an S tier unit, and a unit you definitely want to have on your account as soon as possible, because trust me, you guys want to rush to get Savior Aiden as soon as you can, because Savior Aiden is a free-to-play 3-star unit, and she is one of the best PvP units in the game. So you definitely want to make sure you have Roana. It makes getting her a lot easier. The next unit I recommend for PvEing on this banner is going to be Landy, a limited unit actually, and she's pretty long forgotten, I'd say, just because she kind of fell out of the PvP meta, but she is still amazing for PvE, and that is because of her S1 and S2 dealing a ton of damage, right? Her S1 is a single target attack. It will give her Fighting Spirit and give her CR. Looks like it's nothing too crazy, but this hits extremely hard. Also, you'll have her S2, which is a passive attack stacking buff. It will give you 20% attack every time you attack for 3 stacks. 60% attack bonus is crazy. It'll make her start hitting like a truck once you stack it. It's very easy to stack it in PvE because boss fights take pretty long. And then we have her S3, it's an AoE attack that will push all of your allies, give them speed buff, which is very nice, and also penetrate defense if the Fighting Spirit is full, while resetting this cooldown, which is crazy. This hits super hard. Landy is extremely powerful for, I think, like 3 of the expeditions, maybe even 4. And she's also very good in Nightmare Raid. She's also very good in Automaton Tower. Also very good in Adventure Mode because a lot of bosses have buffs. Also very good in Abyss, right? She's a top tier unit. The best damage dealer actually for PvE content. So, or one of the best, I'd say. I think there's a lot of others you can debate as well. But in my opinion, the best is you definitely want to make sure you have her. If you actually have her on an artifact known as Bloodstone, which will heal every time you do damage with the holder, you actually don't need a healer in auto fights because she hits so hard that with this artifact, she can actually solo heal her team. So, very powerful PvE unit. Definitely recommend getting her, even though she's not that great in PvP. Honestly, you can still use her sometimes. She's pretty niche, and she can end up being pretty decent. But just because of her value in PvE content, she is one of the best units to get from for this banner. Because of how strong she is and universal she is in a lot of areas of content. And now the last unit is going to be Seaside Bellona that I'm recommending, and that is because 1, she is a limited unit, but also similar to Landy, she is one of the best damage dealers for PvE content. I think Landy and Seaside Bellona are going to be both S tier for PvE because they do a ton of damage, although they deal it in kind of different ways. So Seaside Bellona's damage isn't as high as Landy, but she's very good because she has this defense break on her S2. Defense break makes it so that, of course, your entire team will do more damage. She's pretty consistent with it as well because she gets effectiveness from her awakenings. I believe you'll see she gets up to 18%. So you can just slap her on an effectiveness ring and she'll be a very good defense breaker while dealing a ton of damage. Her S1 also has target, which is very nice. This will make the enemy take even more damage here. You can see increased damage suffered. And her S3 also has a ton of debuffs, which can be very good for bosses where you want to stop them from healing or also from, putting buffs on themselves. This is very useful in like Nightmare Raid against the Spider boss. Very good there, and also just good in Adventure Mode in general. Now, she also has an exclusive equipment, which will make her do even more damage and have a self-cleanse actually, which is very nice. Very solid unit. You can even run her with Landy, and they complement each other well. Seaside Bellona is a little bit more supportive, but she still does a ton of damage. Very strong in PvE. You can use her in expeditions, you can use her in raid like I mentioned, in Abyss as well, she's very good there. In adventure mode, very similar to Landy, she can be used in a lot of areas of content. She's actually very tanky because of her S2 passive. You'll redirect 30% damage suffered by the caster to the foremost ally. Usually your foremost ally is your tankiest unit, so they'll soak a lot of damage. So it makes her very bulky and she won't just randomly die. Where Landy, you might see randomly die because she doesn't have any built-in mitigation. Seaside Bellona is also very good for Wyvern. She has 3 debuffs built in, meaning she can actually put all the debuffs on the boss to actually stop him from hitting random units. Actually, she has 4, right? She has defense break on her S2, 2 debuffs on her S3, and 1 on her S1. So she's very good at Wyvern for stability, and she's also good in late game Wyvern for your one-shot teams. She's the easiest to build for Wyvern 13 one-shot. You don't even need her artifact anymore. In the past, you needed to have her artifact maxed out to make it consistent, this Rheingard's special drink. But now if you just get this artifact from the side story, that's in the Book of Memories, Otherworldly Machinery, this will work as well. You just need a little bit more damage. Seaside Bellona, Another forgotten unit because she's an old limited, but still very good for PvE content and one of the best units in the game for PvE overall. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the PvE side of things for this banner, the custom group summon banner. Obviously, like I mentioned, I do think it is a bait banner because Smilegate always releases this banner when more good banners are to come. But I think if you're missing Landy and Seaside Bellona, those two limited units, and you're very into PvE and you're struggling in PvE a little bit in some areas of content, they're very good pickups and they will be a very great addition to your account. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope you guys have a great week.